Within your CRM, attributes are the building blocks of your customer data. They allow you to record specific, structured information that goes beyond just a name or an email. You can think of them as custom data fields that are tailored to your brand, your goals, and what matters to you. For example, instead of just knowing who a customer is, you can use attributes to record anything from their favorite coffee to things like even their pet's birthday or their license plate. By capturing this data through custom forms, you move beyond basic marketing. These attributes allow you to create dynamic segments, such as segmenting customers based on their past experiences, their preferences, and more, so you can send hyper-targeted rewards that actually resonate with them and their lifestyle. I'm going to show you an example of how you can create a really practical attribute that you can in turn measure with a custom form to make sure that data is ready for you to use in segmentation going forward. So let's jump in. Now that you're on the contacts page within CRM, you're going to see that you have the option to manage attributes here in the top right-hand corner. You can also access your attributes by going to settings and then selecting them from the left-hand navigation here. Either way, you're going to end up on this page, and then you're going to see that we have all of our attributes here. So I'm going to create a new attribute by selecting Add Attribute here, and we're going to give it a name. And I'm going to show you guys how you can actually measure a customer's experience using attributes here. So I'm going to say, tell us how we did. And you can see here we can choose from a wide array of different data types here. So you can measure URLs, you can measure dates, you can do decimal numbers, license plates, you can do a select or a multi-select, even things like media and file uploads. You have a wide variety of options here, so I'm not going to cover all of them, but I'm going to show you a really practical example here. So I'm going to choose a select attribute, and I'm going to hit create. And now, because I've done a select attribute, you can see that I have to add selection options here. But really quickly first, I'm just going to add a description here. The description is purely for internal purposes when it comes to this attribute. So you only really need to enter this to give a little bit of context in case you're sharing this account with any colleagues. But I'm going to give this a quick description and say customers can rate us on a scale of 1 to 5 based on their experience. And then I'm going to hit update now that I've entered that description. And then we're going to move on to our selection options here. So I'm going to add a new option, and I'm going to say 1, which is what customers can select if they've had a bad experience with us. You have the option to set any of these selection options as a default if you would like to. It's not necessary. So for this example, I'm not going to set any default purely because I don't want to actually influence the response of any of my customers. So we're going to leave this box unchecked. But if you wanted to give a default value, seeing as we're doing a 5-point scale here, you might want to choose number 3 just to make sure that you have a midpoint. So I'm going to leave this checkbox blank for the time being and hit create there. And I'm going to create my other 4 options now on top of that. So 2 is going to be disappointing. I can say that a rating of 3 out of 5 is fair or okay. I can say 4 out of 5 then is if they had a good experience, and 5 out of 5 if they had an excellent experience. So now I've created all the 5 different selection options, and I've entered my description just to give a little bit more context to the overview of this attribute. And then if you scroll beneath that, you can see the recent versions of the attribute. So if there have been any changes to it, as well as the activity. And then finally, you have the deletion option here as well. So now that I've actually created the attribute along with all of the selection options, I'm going to show you how easy it is to measure this attribute. And you can do that using forms. So we're going to navigate to CRM and select forms. And just for ease, I'm going to show you how to do this with an existing form, which is the sign up form, and we're going to hit edit form. Now, of course, you're probably not going to use your sign-up form to ask customers how their experience was. You would create an individual form for that, and I'm going to jump into that in the next video. So I'll use this attribute once again in that example. So as you can see, you have the different blocks on the right-hand side here, and we're going to select attributes. You're going to see this is the one that we just created, so tell us how we did, and then you can literally just drag and drop that into the form. You can then click on it and select whether or not it's required. You can set a default value if you would like, but we don't have that. We don't want that in this particular example, so we don't influence our customers' responses in any way. And now, as long as you hit Save Changes, that's going to be included within this form. And the next time a customer goes to access this form, they'll be able to give you a response telling you how their experience was on a scale of 1 to 5. And we can then actually create a list, and we can see which customers have had a good experience, which ones have had a bad experience, and we can tailor some campaigns to send out to them accordingly.